The moment she entered, she was dismissed. Her appearance was striking. A wrinkled oatmeal-colored dress, scuffed leather shoes, and hair loose down her back. An actress turned, speaking loudly enough for everyone to hear. Seriously? Appearing at the prestigious casting looking like that? She proceeded into the casting room, and the director's voice erupted. "Oh my God! Are you mocking me? This is an insult. Get her out. Out." Despite the commotion, only one sentence was needed. The statement hung in the air, leaving the entire room utterly still. This was the final casting for Noble, a celebrated fragrance brand staging its initial return in 10 years, with a worldwide campaign filmed by Ethan Cole, the famously demanding director known for several Academy Award-winning art films. The central concept? Nobility. Not in a traditional aristocratic meaning, but something more profound. Something timeless. Auditions were taking place in Manhattan, at the top of the modern glass building belonging to Noble Corporation. Only 30 actresses were invited, carefully selected from thousands nationwide. These women represented the elite Golden Globe recipients, established talents, and popular figures in the media. Ellie Harper, however, seemed out of place, or so it appeared. She was an unknown, lacking a stylist or support team, and arrived wearing a simple dress, accompanied by a manager relying on a feeling and harboring a secret that would dramatically alter the situation. The casting took place on the top floor of the Noble Corporation's modern Manhattan skyscraper. Ellie Harper followed her manager, Claire Dawson, into the room and was almost overwhelmed by the brightness. The space was filled with well-known actors, with only a few unfamiliar faces present. The event's theme was nobility, so attendees were dressed in elaborate attire, including designer gowns, sparkling jewels, and impeccably styled hair. The majority of the attendees were familiar with one another, engaging in brief greetings and professional introductions. Those less acquainted sought opportunities to compliment prominent figures, and the room resonated with animated conversation. When Ellie entered the doorway, an abrupt stillness fell over the space. It wasn't due to recognition, no one knew her name, but rather because, in contrast to the well-known attendees adorned with diamonds, she seemed strikingly out of place. Some might have described her appearance as unconventional. Her dress was a simple, somewhat faded oatmeal-colored shift, and her brown leather shoes showed signs of wear and scuffing. She wore no jewelry, no makeup, and her chestnut hair flowed in loose, unbound waves down her back. The room was crowded with Hollywood's elite, and after a moment of surprised looks, they made no effort to conceal their disapproval. They didn't even quiet their voices as they openly criticized her directly. The question arose, who was this? Some whispered she appeared to have just emerged from a dumpster. Others wondered if she was lost. An actress made a dismissive expression. Another exclaimed, "Absolutely not. She's represented by Claire Dawson, the former manager of Vanessa Lane." Everyone recognized Claire, the highly successful manager who had propelled Vanessa Lane to fame before Vanessa's sudden retirement. Seeing Claire with Ellie caused astonishment. Wait, that's Claire's latest client? The one she's promoting so heavily? Producer derided. Even without Vanessa, Claire's professional history shouldn't involve working at this level. Is Dawson's agency in such a difficult situation? It's hard to believe they can't afford a stylist, someone remarked. No, they're not without funds, they simply don't prioritize her, another responded. Disparaging comments arose. Vanessa damaged her career due to a relationship, and Claire was oblivious until Vanessa made the announcement. She was her manager, and didn't realize the situation until then. Yeah, Claire's career has declined, a voice added. The prominent talent at Dawson's agency is Monica Reed, not Claire. Just then, a rising star from Starlight Entertainment, Brooke Kendall, approached Claire with a saccharine smile that couldn't quite conceal her derision. "Claire, you're bringing a new talent to the casting?" she inquired, her gaze dismissively assessing Ellie's attire. Claire responded calmly, "I signed her up impulsively. She successfully completed the preliminary rounds, so I thought it would be beneficial experience." Her voice was modest but resolute, a veiled display of Ellie's achievement in reaching this stage among the nation's leading actresses. Brooke's expression became condescending as she observed Ellie, shaking her head. Claire, no offense, but even a waitress wouldn't present themselves this way. Do you feel Vanessa's departure severely? If you are finding things difficult, abandon Dawson's agency and join my team. My assistant's compensation isn't substantial, but it's preferable to supporting someone of Ellie's profile. Starlight and Dawson's agency had been competitors for years, and Brooke harbored a personal resentment. Vanessa had overshadowed her at award shows on numerous occasions. She wasn't going to let a chance to challenge Claire pass her. The people nearby smiled, enjoying the unfolding situation. Another voice interjected, "Hey, I'm looking for assistance as well. Claire, would you be interested?" Brooke laughed, pleased. Look at that, Claire is in high demand. No need to worry about going without. Ellie's gaze sharpened with a frigid look as Brooke embarrassed Claire. But Claire had cautioned her, regardless of what occurs, remain silent. Ellie located a peaceful spot, settled down, and shut her eyes, blocking out the surrounding sounds. Her purpose wasn't to argue. She was present to concentrate and discover the necessary emotion for the part. The audition commenced shortly thereafter. Ellie received a respectable number, 15 out of 30. Brooke, number 14, observed Ellie's number and released a theatrical sigh. Such a promising slot squandered on her. The initial actress, Mia Carson, entered. She was a force, a self-made star who had worked tirelessly to achieve a Golden Globe, lacking formal training or a privileged background. A palpable stillness fell over the room as she arrived. Her skill was unmistakable. Brooke, however, expressed skepticism. Honestly, she muttered, she's just a high school dropout from nowhere. How can she possibly succeed in Noble? Brooke herself wasn't from a family of actors, but her family possessed considerable wealth. Her father held a Senate position, her mother operated a high-end crocodile leather fashion brand, and she had been raised with refined manners. She received piano and calligraphy lessons, among other things. Today, she wore a dress valued higher than Noble's entire advertising budget, and her self-assurance was evident. Few could compare to her upbringing, despite some achieving similar levels of recognition. Mia appeared less than a minute later, her complexion pale. Her manager hurried to assist her, but Mia declined, appearing defeated. Her manager's shoulders slumped, though she stayed to comfort her. Brooke crossed her arms, smug. Knew it. What's a small-town girl gonna do with Noble? Other actresses with trust fund backgrounds echoed her, sneering as Mia, unable to bear the mocking stares, left the room. Even a Golden Globe couldn't shield her from the sting of their elitism. In her corner, Ellie cracked her eyes open, watching Mia's retreating figure with a flicker of regret. Mia's acting talent and existing fanbase suggested this advertisement would be a sure success. It was disappointing. The second actress, a coal heiress whose father had funded her career, performed even worse. The third, a Naipo baby with actor parents, lasted only 3 minutes. She was adequate but ultimately unsuitable. As actress after actress was considered, even the most established names failed to meet expectations. Tension filled the audition room, particularly as the director, Ethan Cole, could be heard criticizing them from behind the closed door. Ethan's American accent possessed a sharp quality, developed through years of working internationally. He wondered if his words were being understood, and he doubted their intelligence. He desired grace and refinement, not lifeless figures performing mechanically. He criticized Mia, stating that while her performance was convincing, her eyes revealed a lack of depth. She seemed ordinary, just another actress, a mere prop. He dismissed a third, acknowledging her talent but finding her far from ideal. She didn't match the image he held. And one prior to Brooke, that was the 13th person. She believes I am foolish. She possesses no understanding of the harp. The actresses outside, previously full of self-importance, lost color. Is this man genuine? He has criticized everyone, one whispered. He holds a resentment towards Americans. Another complained. It is simply an advertisement. Why is he behaving as though we must be specialists? Does he anticipate that we should become proficient in everything? Brooke laughed derisively, flipping her hair. Only individuals lacking talent create justifications and fault the director. As number 14, she entered the casting room. When Brooke opened the door, Ethan's scowl lessened. She wore a vintage-inspired gown, adorned with pearls and emeralds, and her blonde hair was styled in an elegant updo with a jade hairpin. She wasn't simply noble, she was a vision of American glamour with a hint of timeless sophistication. Ethan's eyes brightened, and his tone grew warmer. "Come on, my dear. Step closer. Let me see you." Brooke stood confidently, allowing him to assess her. Growing up in privileged environments, her every movement, her smile, her bearing, displayed innate elegance. There was no need for pretense. Ethan walked around her, acknowledging with nods. "Very well, Brooke. Let's see what you can do." The casting room was filled with a variety of props: a grand piano, a calligraphy set, a chessboard, an embroidery stand, and a silk fan. Brooke's eyes focused on a harp. "This one," she stated, lightly touching the strings. The harp presented a greater challenge than a piano, demanding complex technique. 7 pedals, 47 strings, a range of 6.5 octaves. Ethan, a culture buff who had studied American and European arts for decades, wasn't someone easily deceived by a superficial performance. One actress had previously attempted a deceptive performance and received criticism. Ethan raised a brow as Brooke selected the harp, displaying skepticism. However, as she commenced playing, his expression changed. Her fingers moved gracefully over the strings, producing a melody that was both subtle and powerful. Following her performance, Ethan hesitated to reject her immediately. This was unprecedented. He spent a considerable time discussing the matter with his assistant. Eventually, the assistant approached Brooke with courtesy. "Ms. Kendall, we are still in the audition process, but could you please wait outside? We will inform you of our decision." The unspoken message was evident. They were impressed, but further evaluation was needed. Brooke responded with a pleasant smile. "Certainly." Internally, she allowed a confident smirk. Who could possibly surpass her? The role was undoubtedly hers. As Brooke exited, a palpable excitement filled the room. She had been in there for almost 10 minutes, and instead of Ethan's typical shouting, they had heard the harp's delicate music. Brooke didn't retreat like the others. She sat down, composed, prepared to be summoned. It was clear. She had made the shortlist, possibly even secured the position. The other actresses' certainty lessened. The established performers didn't want to chance embarrassment. But the prestigious contract was too appealing to relinquish. "Number 15, you're up," the assistant announced. Ellie, still absorbed in her thoughts, remained still. Claire, seated next to her, didn't intervene. She understood Ellie needed this time. Brooke, noticing Ellie in her view, felt compelled to speak. "Claire, I'm not intending to be unkind, but why select her? Starlight dismissed her for a reason. Are you genuinely allowing her to audition in that state? If she performs poorly, it reflects not just on you, but on your entire agency." Brooke's words directed all attention to Ellie. The room shifted, with some actresses quietly laughing. Targeted as the recipient of their criticism, perhaps they wouldn't appear so unfavorable compared to Brooke. Several, however, remained silent, questioning whether Ellie's disheveled look was a calculated choice, a hidden tactic. Perhaps she would change before entering. "Claire, I'm ready," Ellie said quietly, opening her eyes. Claire nodded. "You can do it. Number 15, let's go," the assistant repeated. Amidst a wave of doubtful gazes, Ellie rose, adjusted her dress, and proceeded calmly to the casting room. The moment she vanished inside, the room erupted in whispers. "Is she really going in like that?" One actress murmured. "I had anticipated a hidden strategy, but it seemed she was auditioning as if she were down on her luck. Ethan is going to be furious. She's in serious trouble. Perhaps it's better not to know." Then, Ethan's voice boomed through the doorway. "Are you insulting me, insulting Noble? Get out." Brooke took a drink of juice given to her by her assistant, a smile playing on her lips. "That went better than I thought." Why proceed when failure is inevitable, clinging to the hope of an unexpected outcome? She retrieved her phone and initiated a call. "Hey, Savannah. Brooke, are you finished? How did it proceed?" Savannah's voice was even and comforting. Exceptional as expected, Brooke, she responded with a hint of confidence. The initial 13 actresses presented challenges, but the remainder? They were no match. You are guaranteed success. Of course you would succeed, Savannah laughed. Thank you for making way, dear. This opportunity would have rightfully been yours. Please don't exaggerate. I've assisted you before, such as securing a partnership between your father's company and my mother's brand last month. Minor things. You won't believe who I just saw. Who? Your foster sister, Ellie Harper, the country bumpkin. What? How did she get into a Noble casting? I have no idea what fortunate circumstances she encountered to succeed in the prelims, but it was amusing to watch. The theme is nobility, and she appeared as if she lives under a bridge. She's lost it, Savannah laughed. Absolutely. Avoiding interaction with her is wise. She is creating a difficult situation for herself. Regardless, I must leave. I'll speak with you when I have cause for celebration. Within the casting room, Ethan's anger encountered Ellie's composure. She remained present, undisturbed, her clear, hazel eyes meeting his. A quality in her gaze, sincere and resolute, caused him to hesitate, as if he were the one who didn't belong. Her attire was unremarkable. It was simply quite understated compared to the others' elaborate appearances. The dress, though used, was tidy and clean. Her unadorned face, gentle and simple, evoked a line of verse for him, like a lotus blooming purely from the water, free from embellishment. Yet her apparent lack of preparation felt like a rebuke. You, I'm speaking to you. Do you not understand English? You are dismissed. Please leave now. Do not waste anyone else's time, Ethan stated, too frustrated to even inquire about her name. While he scolded, Ellie moved toward the harp Brooke had used. Her fingers lightly touched the strings, producing a few notes. Ethan's anger intensified. He paused, intending to continue. However, a sudden rush of sound halted him. The musical phrases flowed, complex and resonant. This is Shenandoah? He questioned, surprised. It was recognized as a difficult American folk composition for harp, a poignant tune deeply connected to the country's identity. Brooke had performed a less complicated classical selection. Ellie remained silent. She was positioned at the harp, her fingers moving with accuracy. The music grew, captivating Ethan. He disregarded his frustration, forgot to speak, and was absorbed by the melody's richness. Shenandoah stood as a cornerstone of American music, its notes reflecting themes of longing, resilience, and quiet strength. It resonated beyond beauty. It pulsed with defiance, a narrative of perseverance through hardship. Ellie's performance wasn't merely skilled, it embodied the song's essence. Ethan watched, stunned. Her clothes were ragged, her face bare, but as she played, no one could mistake her for anything less than extraordinary. She wasn't insignificant, she was a force, her story interwoven into every note. As the final chord concluded, Ethan remained silent. Following a considerable interval, he composed himself, his voice lowered. That, your Shenandoah, it surpassed all my expectations. Ellie responded, nodding subtly, her face exhibiting no change. His perception of her composure, whether confronted with his criticisms or his accolades, impressed him. It wasn't a display of arrogance, it was something more profound, a grace appearing to emanate from within her. This was nobility. It wasn't the kind derived from money or status, but the kind built within, resilient even in poverty. He observed her, his anticipation increasing. None of the others, not even Brooke, had resonated with him in the same way. Brooke's presentation, as flawless as it seemed, felt practiced and insincere. But Ellie? She possessed genuine substance. He cleared his throat and inquired further. Tell me, how do you understand nobility? The others had provided standard responses, education, refinement, poise, which were dependable but lacking inspiration. He leaned forward, wanting to hear Ellie's opinion. She hesitated, carefully selecting her words. Genuine nobility isn't defined by the display of wealth or the importance of a lineage. It's not about jewelry or a perfect appearance. It's not even the knowledge or etiquette one shows off to make an impression. True nobility is when you're wearing a simple dress, your hair disheveled, yet your inner light shines through, unmistakable. Ethan's eyes widened, his face practically glowing. Ellie continued, Noble's campaign is about fragrance, right? A fragrance can communicate more about an individual than any elaborate outfit. For a woman, perfume embodies her identity. It holds greater significance than clothing. It possesses enduring quality, unlike fleeting trends such as jewelry or hairstyles. A truly exceptional fragrance remains memorable. Ethan reacted immediately. Yes, absolutely. He nodded emphatically. Her statement perfectly captured the campaign's core message. Outside, the waiting actresses overheard Ethan's immediate reaction, then a moment of quiet, followed by the harp's uplifting melody. One actress remarked, "Did Claire prepare her with a harp trick?" After Brooke's performance, that's just embarrassing. Another, more perceptive, frowned. That piece sounds harder than Brooke's, but it won't matter. Brooke, who knew her harps, felt a flicker of unease at the technical skill echoing from the room, but she brushed it off. Claire, your little project doesn't get it. The harp's elegant, performers bathe, dress impeccably, respect the tradition. She's disrespecting the art itself. Ethan's gonna tear her apart. The others nodded. Claire remained silent, observing the door. Ellie hadn't been dismissed yet. That was step one, but her strategy was risky, and Claire wasn't certain how it would be received. When the music ceased, there was no yelling. The wait felt longer than Brooke's audition. What's happening in there? An actress murmured, pacing. He's likely reprimanding her so severely he's lost track of time. Ethan is a top-tier director. He's ruthless. This could damage Claire's whole agency. Ethan retrieved Ellie's file from his assistant, quickly reviewing it. His eyes widened. Ellie Harper. Wait, you're Cassandra Reed? Cassandra? Yes, that was my first film role, Ellie stated. Claire had sent clips from Legacy, so he wasn't surprised he recognized the name. However, his enthusiasm appeared considerable. Ellie continued, the moment I saw Cassandra, I was captivated. I need to see that film in theaters. When's it out? Ethan's regret was noticeable. He nearly didn't recognize her, as her usual appearance differed significantly from her on-screen image. Ellie offered a polite smile. Still in post-production, likely a month away. She added, thank you for the kind words. No, you deserve it, Ethan exclaimed. In Legacy, Cassandra was portrayed as a villain, but her powerful and seemingly unapproachable demeanor was precisely what he'd been seeking. Ellie's performance today only validated that. I'm so sorry, Ellie. I was mistaken, almost sent you away. She replied, you're right. Genuine heritage extends beyond appearance. He guided her to a presentation of distinguished perfumes. For 2 centuries, these perfumes have been created using time-honored methods and the world's most exceptional components. It's the scent of authentic aristocracy. I am pleased to lead this campaign, but I required someone who could represent that ideal. Fortunately, I found you. This partnership will be flawless. His assistant cleared his throat, murmuring, Sir, others remain. Should we proceed to the next candidate? Ethan dismissed him with a gesture. There is no need. Ellie is our ambassador. Please dismiss the rest. Outside, the door finally opened. The assistant emerged, addressing the crowd. Ladies, we have selected Ellie as our ambassador. The casting is complete. As a token of our gratitude, we are gifting everyone a 3-day luxury cruise. Enjoy. The room fell silent. Actresses who had not auditioned stared in disbelief. What? Is finished? We didn't even get an audition. It was disappointing, but most weren't shocked. The leading actresses breathed a sigh of relief. They avoided any embarrassment. A wave of congratulations washed over Brooke. Well done, Brooke. If it's you, I'm not mad. Brooke rose, enjoying the accolades, and moved towards the assistant. Thank you, Ethan, for the opportunity. I won't let him down. The assistant seemed puzzled. No, there's been a misunderstanding. It's not Ms. Kendall. A collective gasp rippled through the audience. Ethan selected Ellie Harper, number 15. Ellie Harper? The one dressed like a bum? Someone exclaimed. You're joking, right? Brooke's complexion visibly paled. There's a mistake. Everyone was talking about Ellie Harper, the relatively unknown contestant. She had already mentioned the news to Savannah. The thought of losing to Ellie? It was simply unacceptable. The assistant confirmed with a firm nod. There was no error. It was Ms. Harper, number 15. Brooke's voice trembled with anger. This felt unjust. They deserved an explanation. The assistant expressed resignation. It's Ethan's decision. I am unable to alter it. Then allow me to speak with him, Brooke insisted. Others whispered, questioning whether the assistant had made a mistake with the announcement. Even Claire appeared shocked. The assistant finally agreed. I'll pass this on. He returned promptly. Ethan said, Ms. Kendall, when you see the advertisement, you'll understand why we selected Ellie. He turned to Claire. Ms. Dawson, Ethan would like you to come in to discuss the contract. Claire, still absorbing the information, nodded. Thank you. She followed him inside, leaving Brooke visibly embarrassed and the others speechless. No way. Ellie Harper? We lost to her? I was going to say she's Claire's client. There's no way she's that uncomplicated. We underestimated them. Consider Ellie a surprise. Brooke must be feeling the pressure. First, Vanessa had control, and now Claire is working with a new talent. During the return trip, Claire observed Ellie, who was enjoying a hot dog. It was her first meal since preparing for the casting. The more Claire collaborated with her, the less certain she appeared. You okay? Ellie asked, with her mouth full, noticing Claire's gaze. Feeling fortunate to have a brilliant client like me? Claire laughed. I thought your approach was dangerous. Ethan is knowledgeable, he might have detected any deception. Regarding that harp, you played remarkably well. That requires years of practice. Ellie almost laughed until she choked. Years? Claire responded, you're being overly generous. I learned it in a month, and it's the only piece I know. I memorized it by rote. My intention was purely to impress. Claire blinked, visibly amused and disbelieving. Seriously? Ellie confirmed, raising a finger. I experiment with various instruments. Harp, piano, whatever. I learned just enough to manage, but I'm certainly no expert. Acknowledging that lengthy dedication can lead to focusing on fundamental principles and then proceeding, Claire shook her head, smiling. You're quite remarkable. As the city lights passed by, Ellie took another bite of her hot dog, seemingly unaffected by the day's events. She had entered a room filled with challenging individuals, allowed them to challenge her, and ultimately succeeded. This wasn't driven by a need to demonstrate her superiority, but because she possessed a strong sense of self, which was sufficient. Please enjoy this story, and consider sharing it with others, leaving a comment, and subscribing for more thrilling content. She experienced humiliation, and was even detained, directly within the VIP terminal of Rosebridge Airport. Dressed in an old hoodie and worn-out sneakers, she appeared strikingly ordinary amidst a waiting lounge filled with Italian suits and platinum-tier memberships. This type of passenger doesn't typically travel on a private jet, a security officer stated coldly. She was held, under scrutinizing glances, until the private jet of her billionaire husband arrived. Rosebridge Jet Terminal presented an image of immense wealth, with its polished marble floors reflecting the light of expensive chandeliers, and its tarmac accommodating Gulfstreams and Louis Vuitton suitcases. This exclusive airport, where sapphire membership cards held greater significance than passports, resonated with the presence of tailored Armani suits, Louboutin heels, and the aroma of Tom Ford oud. The VIP lounge, designed as a lavish space of glass and velvet, catered exclusively to a select clientele, with staff in silk vests verifying access via platinum keycards. Past the lounge area, a private runway extended, its entrances secured for the wealthiest individuals. Claire Sutton entered the terminal, wearing a casual gray hoodie, faded sweatpants, and worn sneakers that made a soft sound on the marble flooring. At 30 years old, having grown up in a small, unassuming town, she had independently studied aerospace engineering while working as a mechanic, her life straightforward until she encountered Noah Sutton, the individual responsible for establishing Sutton Aerospace as a worldwide leader. A book and a water bottle were inside the small backpack she carried, her only belongings following a connecting domestic flight. The lounge's stairs seemed to divide her, as if sensing an approaching storm. Claire felt like an imperfection in the terminal's gleaming appearance, her backpack a disruption to the exclusive environment. A security officer, Victor Hayes, moved toward her, his Navy uniform immaculate, his badge shining. "This lounge is exclusively for private jet passengers," he stated, his voice drawing attention. A lounge attendant, wearing a $2,000 Gucci blazer, chuckled, bending towards their colleague. They likely gained entry searching for employment. Amusement spread through the lounge, passengers concealing smiles with perfectly shaped hands. Claire remained still, her hazel eyes fixed, her backpack over one shoulder. She had come to meet Noah, the man whose empire she'd secretly assisted in creating. A wave of frustration rippled through the onlookers, their emotions tightening at the dismissive behavior of these officials, their contempt a sharp contrast to Claire's gentle demeanor. The jeering grew louder, a harsh sound led by the terminal's influential members. Vanessa Klein, the lounge manager, stepped forward, her platinum blonde hair flowing over a form-fitting Versace dress, her red lipstick a vivid accent to her cool expression. At 29 years old, having grown up in Miami's affluent circles, she was known for maintaining strict standards of admittance. Claire's hoodie earned a scoff. "We're unable to verify your identity or your reason for being in the high-security zone," the officer stated, her voice crisp and firm. The passengers responded with laughter that reverberated against the glass walls. Vanessa, with a flick of her hair, released a cloud of Chanel perfume, a fragrance Claire knew Noah found unpleasant. Claire's fingers gripped her backpack, her expression composed, while the audience's anger escalated, their hearts racing at this direct challenge, Vanessa's confidence appearing sharp and cold. The criticism intensified, becoming a deliberate and unified attack on Claire's presence. Victor Hayes approached, his badge reflecting light, and indicated a side door. "Your baggage has not cleared VIP screening," he stated, his voice steady but not unkind. "Please proceed to the holding area for those suspected of making false statements." The crowd applauded, their Rolexes catching the light as they gestured for her to leave. A passenger wearing a $6,000 Brioni suit exclaimed, "You don't seem like someone who owns a private jet ticket." Amusement rippled through the group, with passengers bumping shoulders. A receptionist whispered, "She doesn't appear to be a tourist." Another commented, "That hoodie looks like it could be stolen, and she has the nerve to enter here?" The remarks felt like a heavy blow, each word a painful strike against Claire's quietness. The audience's anger intensified, their hearts aching for Claire, deeply upset by this group's persistent harshness. The travelers' disdain became sharp as Claire stood in the VIP lounge, their taunts a deliberate attack intended to undermine her resolve. Several technology leaders in $8,000 Seville Row suits assembled close to the velvet sofas, their words a spiteful blend. "She's a mark on Rosebridge's reputation," one remarked, gesturing with a platinum fountain pen in Claire's direction, highlighting her worn sneakers. Returning to the budget terminal, one individual brandished a black Amex card, exclaiming, "Her backpack appears to be from a flea market." The audience's laughter was loud, employees glancing at each other, their Rolexes reflecting the light. A private equity mogul declared, "She's an insult to every jet parked here." The jeers felt like a severe judgment, each word a sharp blow against Claire's composed demeanor. Noah's jet was visible on the tarmac beyond the glass, but the lounge's disapproval felt intensely heavy. The audience's anger escalated, their hearts racing, indignant at this planned injustice, their fury intense and ready to challenge the elite's pride. The staff's involvement aggravated the situation, their actions a new disappointment. A receptionist, Clara Holt, wearing a tailored blazer, approached, her voice laced with disdain. "Miss, the general terminal is that way," she stated, gesturing towards a concealed door, her smirk reflected by surrounding passengers. "We don't allow such guests in the VIP lounge," she added, which drew laughter from the group. Clara, 26 years old and raised in New Jersey, took pride in her role as a gatekeeper. The group's approval felt like a powerful current, their arrogance a very public rejection. Claire held her backpack, her hazel eyes unwavering, but the lounge's disapproval felt intensely heavy. The audience's anger surged, their hearts racing at this form of institutional rejection, their fury burning against Rosebridge's sanctity. Vanessa Klein's criticism became pointed, a deliberate attempt to embarrass Claire in front of the lounge's most distinguished members. "You're not just out of place, you're a source of embarrassment," she stated, her Versace dress catching the light as she indicated Claire's sweatpants. Sutton Aerospace would not permit such behavior, she insisted, within their facilities. Her companions laughed, the sound punctuated by the clicking of their Mont Blanc pens, their gazes shifting to Claire's backpack. Vanessa remarked, "She's a charity case, not a jet passenger," her voice carrying enough volume to hush the surrounding quiet sounds. The passengers responded with approval, their disapproval feeling overwhelming, their hushed tones filled with discontent. "She's a fake," they muttered. Claire's hazel eyes glowed with contained anger, but her smile remained steady, a defense against the feeling of being let down. The pavement shimmered outside the windows, but the lounge's disapproval felt like a heavy burden. The audience's anger surged, their feelings of sorrow for Claire evident, fueled by the manager's deception revealed. The passengers' resentment reached a high point, their voices a harsh and bitter wave. A technology executive in a $5,000 Canali suit leaned forward, his voice sharp and dismissive. "She's insignificant, likely here seeking a passage," he remarked, pointing at Claire's sweatpants. "Observe that backpack. Did she retrieve it from a refuse container?" His associates chuckled, displaying their platinum cards. A socialite declared, "She's an embarrassment to whoever let her in." Laughter echoed, each insult a dagger aimed at Claire's heart. A woman standing close by with her daughter murmured, "She's likely someone's housekeeper." Her daughter chuckled, adding, "Or a stowaway." The audience's anger surged, their hearts with Claire, their fury a tidal wave against this malicious slander, desperate for the truth to shatter the elite's lies. The lounge staff's disapproval became obvious, their behavior a public embarrassment intended to entertain the other passengers. A senior concierge, Richard Tate, addressed Claire close to the glass reception desk, his silk vest immaculate, his tone condescending. "Miss, this lounge is exclusively for verified jet passengers," he stated, ensuring the surrounding people could hear. He indicated her hoodie with a gesture, his smirk echoed by the nearby employees. "Rosebridge rarely permits such straightforwardness," he stated, which elicited laughter from those present. The group's acceptance felt overwhelming, their confidence a stark display. Claire held her backpack, her hazel eyes steady, but the lounge's disapproval felt oppressive. The audience's anger intensified, their hearts racing at this perceived injustice, their fury burning against the terminal's integrity. Claire remained silent, her eyes dry, her arms holding her backpack, a plain bag containing the book she's read on her flight, a gift for Noah. She was led to the isolation room, a cold space of glass and steel, its walls mirroring the lounge luxury. The door closed behind her, with Victor Hayes standing watch, his badge representing her confinement. The passengers' murmurs followed her. "There lies a suffocating tide. She's a con artist." Claire's hazel eyes remained steady, her composure a quiet blaze. The audience's rage peaked, their hearts breaking for Claire, their fury a fire ready to consume the terminal's sanctity. The passengers' cruelty peaked as they spread vicious rumors, their voices a venomous storm echoing through the lounge. A hedge fund manager in a $9,000 Loro Piana suit leaned forward, his voice loud and cutting. He suggested she was a fraud, possibly having secured her place in the lounge through bribery, his friends agreeing, their cufflinks gleaming. Her marriage was also fabricated, simply a narrative to deceive Sutton. Another declared, raising his voice, "She's a con artist. Noah has been tricked." Derisive laughter erupted, each statement a painful blow to Claire. Employees shared falsehoods, their accusations multiplying rapidly. "She's after his wealth." Claire touched her backpack, maintaining a calm expression, though the group's malicious gossip felt overwhelming. The audience's anger surged, their feelings aligned with Claire, their outrage a powerful force seeking to expose the falsehoods of those in power. The sound of a jet engine broke the lounge's quiet atmosphere as a black Gulfstream G800 landed on the private runway, one of fewer than 20 such runways globally. The aircraft's polished exterior shone, its engines creating a loud noise that stopped the surrounding conversation. A VIP golf cart quickly moved towards the isolation zone, its tires squealing on the tarmac. Noah Sutton disembarked, his white shirt rolled up, his dark sunglasses glinting, projecting an aura of intensity. At 35, having grown up in Seattle, he had transformed Sutton Aerospace into a global empire, incorporating Rosebridge Jet Terminal through a corporate restructuring. He took off his sunglasses, revealing gray eyes as sharp as steel, and proceeded into the isolation room. "Why is my wife being held here?" His voice held no volume, yet it resonated with force. A wave of emotion rippled through the onlookers, their frustration giving way to expectation. Noah's revelation a beacon in the tension. Victor Hayes faltered, his official identification providing no protection. "I wasn't aware she—" Noah interrupted, his expression unwavering. "She has nothing to demonstrate. I am her confirmation of travel." The atmosphere became still, Vanessa Klein's Versace dress appearing deflated, her crimson lipstick a sharp contrast against her complexion. Noah opened the exit, approached Claire, and clasped her hand. "Are you weary?" he inquired, his voice gentle yet resolute. "The aircraft was prepared. Let's proceed." Claire smiled, her hazel eyes radiating warmth, her hoodie a subtle adornment. The travelers' cufflinks appeared less brilliant, their expressions strained with surprise. The crowd's sense of accomplishment grew, their hearts pounding as Noah's words altered the lounge's influence. Noah addressed the airport manager, his voice composed but firm. "I intended to maintain my stake in Rosebridge for an additional 2 years," he stated, "but today I have revised that decision." He hesitated, his gray eyes surveying the lounge. Detaining anyone for not wearing a suit in a gathering of those who believe themselves divine seemed inappropriate. Vanessa Klein recoiled, her Chanel perfume a sharp contrast to the situation. Noah's expression turned intense. "I'm not merely the largest investor in this airport, I possess 70% ownership of Rosebridge Jet Terminal." A chill permeated the lounge. The receptionist almost dropped her iPad, and the head of security paled. The audience erupted, their anger shifting to astonishment as Noah's actions began to dismantle the deception that had restricted Claire. The repercussions were swift, a judgment conveyed without a sound. Noah addressed Victor Hayes, his voice sharp and decisive. "You held the one I travel with," he stated. "Your time here is over, 5 minutes remaining." Victor's uniform seemed to shrink, his professional life collapsing. Noah then confronted Vanessa Klein, his gaze unwavering. "Your department's screening procedures? Discontinued. Access is permanently denied to all Sutton Group locations." Vanessa's Versace dress offered no protection. Her standing served as a warning. Noah addressed Clara Holt, the receptionist. "Your keycards have been disabled. Please clear your workspace." Clara appeared stunned, her role as gatekeeper now exposed. The onlooker's sense of disappointment shifted to jubilation, Claire's success affirmed by her husband's considerable influence. The isolation room felt dominated by Noah Sutton, his voice sharp and decisive, silencing the space enclosed by glass walls. "You dared to detain Claire Sutton, the only soul worthy of this terminal," he declared, his gray eyes radiating a controlled fury. "The validity of your badges, your protocols were irrelevant in the face of her truth." He presented a sleek tablet displaying a series of canceled agreements. Victor Hayes' security contracts, Vanessa Klein's management deals, and the staff's lounge privileges, all rescinded by Sutton Aerospace's board. "Your names are removed from global aviation," he announced, his eyes focused on Victor. "You have lost more than jobs, you have lost your futures." The audience reacted with shocked gasps, their empires collapsing under his direction. Claire stood beside him, her gray hoodie glowing, her triumph confirmed by Noah's consistent strength. The audience cheered, their spirits lifted as his worldwide justice defeated the elite's pride. Noah's gaze turned to the woman who had spoken, her daughter standing close behind. "I heard you refer to her as a maid," he said, his voice slightly firm. "I'll demonstrate the power even a so-called maid can possess, sufficient to result in your permanent membership cancellation." He retrieved his phone, activated it with a single button, and issued the command. The memberships of all individuals in Lounge 1A from the previous 2 hours were to be terminated. No justification was required. The socialite's platinum card became invalid, her standing negated. The tech mogul, who had previously ridiculed Claire's backpack, was led away, his agreements rescinded. Those passengers who had laughed concealed their Rolexes, their power diminished. The observers felt their hearts pound, their anger evolving into pride, Claire's victory shining brightly and humbling the lounge's prominent members. The downfall of the elite was a spectacle, their arrogance shattered under Noah's command. Vanessa Klein stumbled back, her Versace dress a mockery, her reputation a cautionary tale among the staff. Victor Hayes' badge was confiscated, his decades of service null, his escorts pushing him toward the service exit. Clara Holt's gatekeeping empire plummeted, her scorn a public wound, her belongings scattered. The hedge fund manager's deals collapsed, his slander exposed his lies. Those who'd flicked pens concealed their cufflinks, their memberships revoked. The staff who'd sneered were dismissed, their careers terminated. The socialite who'd whispered faced ostracism, her reputation diminished. Claire stood tall, her sneakers a subtle symbol of triumph, her hazel eyes unwavering. The audience's hearts resonated with emotion, their anger shifting to admiration. Claire's victory and Noah's anger shook the world's wealthiest in the terminal's esteemed halls. The terminal's hierarchy collapsed under Noah's direction. A thorough review revealed its deep-seated flaws. He addressed the airport's operations chief, his tone sharp and direct amidst the lounge's lavish surroundings. "Your screening system is unacceptable," he stated, his gray eyes unwavering. "Every procedure that caused distress to my wife is nullified, effective immediately." He activated his phone, and a wave of alerts flooded the staff's devices. Contracts terminated, permissions removed, entire departments dissolved. The socialite's daughter wept, her mother's membership a relic of a fallen empire. The tech mogul's jet remained on the tarmac, his influence non-existent. The receptionist who had laughed was escorted out, her iPad now inactive. Claire stood beside Noah, her backpack a silent declaration of her truth, her victory a bright spot in the terminal's fading light. The audience's hearts lifted, their anger shifting to triumph. Noah's fury a powerful force that washed away Rosebridge's arrogance. The details of Claire's history remained unknown, whether to the staff, Vanessa, or the passengers. When she was 20, she had rebuilt aircraft engines while studying late into the night, using her earnings to pay for textbooks. At 25, she encountered Noah at an aerospace expo, her understated intelligence captivating him amidst a crowd of showy personalities. Their marriage, a private ceremony on a Maine cliff, was founded on love, not financial resources. Vanessa's perfume, the staff's keycards, the passengers' suits, held no comparison to the resilience embodied by the backpack Claire carried. She now stood within the terminal, her rubber band a reminder of her integrity, her silence a consuming fire that exposed their deceit. Claire entered the Gulf Stream, still wearing her hoodie, holding Noah's hand. Her reflection appeared on the terminal's glass wall, portraying a composed woman passing 2 rows of people with lowered heads. The aircraft moved ahead, its engines creating a visible display of strength, leaving the lounge hushed. The chandeliers decreased in brightness, the marble floors no longer echoing with dominance. Noah turned to Claire, his gray eyes filled with concern. "Are you all right?" She responded with a nod, her hazel eyes following the curve of his smile. As the jet ascended, the autumn light diminished, revealing a line of the world's wealthiest individuals seeking her approval, their gestures a quiet acknowledgement of their previous treatment of her. She had experienced deep shame even being held. Within the exclusive VIP terminal of Rosebridge Airport, she appeared unassuming in an old hoodie and worn sneakers. Her appearance stood in stark contrast to the surroundings, a waiting lounge filled with Italian suits and platinum-tier memberships. The revelation arrived with undeniable force, and it couldn't be ignored. Everyone involved understood a crucial lesson. True authority isn't defined by appearance. It's established by presence, and the impact will be immediate. If you enjoyed this narrative, please like, share, and subscribe for similar stories. We'd love to hear from you. If you were Claire, what actions would you take? The moment she entered the boardroom, she drew mocking looks. Her appearance, a crisp white shirt, beige wide-leg trousers, an old laptop, and a neat, half-up hairstyle, seemed to invite derision in a room dominated by Armani suits and Swiss watches. The occupant's gazes sharp and critical. Whispers arose, "Look at that outfit." Some even joked, someone must have sent the intern from the events team by mistake. They were mistaken, as the woman they had just humiliated was the spouse of the man overseeing a $100 million investment fund, and he had resolved that no money would be allocated to anyone who showed her disrespect. The boardroom at the top of the Sterling Tower shone with authority, with floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing Manhattan's skyline, a polished mahogany table reflecting the morning sun, and air that smelled faintly of leather and ambition. Crystalis Group, a leading force in luxury real estate, had requested architects from across the world to present proposals for their flagship project, a $2 billion eco-resort in the Maldives designed to reimagine sustainable luxury. Executives in tailored suits observed as evaluators, their cufflinks gleaming, their expressions conveying practiced indifference. Tablets displayed spreadsheets, and a large screen stood behind them, ready to showcase presentations that held the potential to significantly impact professional trajectories. Alina Moore entered through the double doors, her beige trousers swaying gently, her white shirt crisp and unadorned. Her dark hair was styled in a neat half-updo, with a few strands framing her face, and her hazel eyes held a quiet intensity. She carried a worn leather portfolio of hand-drawn sketches, an old laptop tucked under her arm, and she was unaccompanied. At 34, she appeared striking, elegant in her simplicity, her beauty like a clear stream cutting through stone. Years ago, her eco-resort concept, a small project in Costa Rica, had attracted attention within the industry, its quiet excellence discussed in design circles. That's why Crystalis had invited her, or so she believed. She placed her portfolio on the table, her actions measured, and offered a composed smile. "Good morning," she stated, her voice clear and even. "I'm Alina Moore, here to present my vision for your resort." The room showed little movement. A man in a charcoal suit, his tie a vibrant crimson, briefly looked up from his phone. Victor Crane, the project director, reclined, his expression wry. "We anticipated a design firm," he stated, his voice resonating, "not a Pinterest freelancer." A wave of laughter, frigid and precise, passed as executives subtly looked at each other. As Alina remained standing at the table, Victor Crane angled himself towards Sylvia Holt, his voice audible throughout the room. He stated, loud enough for everyone to hear, "She's got some nerve, showing up with a laptop older than my car." The executives laughed, their eyes showing their disapproval as they observed her adjusting her sketches. A man wearing a pinstripe suit threw a paper clip toward her portfolio, smiling as it landed on her drawings. "Decorate that," he said to the freelancer, which caused more laughter. Sylvia responded with a smirk, adding, "Maybe she's here to pitch a lemonade stand." Phones snapped pictures of her older laptop, accompanied by cruel whispers. She appeared to be mortifying herself. Alina's fingers hesitated, yet her face remained composed, her composure a sharp contrast to their hostility. Alina's expression remained unchanged. She presented her portfolio, displaying sketches filled with luminosity. Curved roofs, integrated with coral reefs, open-air villas touched by sea breezes. "My work speaks for itself," she stated, pushing a page towards Victor. He made no attempt to view it, his gaze focusing on her attire. "You honestly believe you can make a good impression on international investors dressed like that?" he stated. Sylvia Holt moved closer, her diamond earrings catching the light as she regarded Alina with a look of concern. "Darling, this is a global project," she explained, her voice conveying a sense of disappointment. "You can't simply appear like that." She indicated Alina's trousers, and a ripple of amusement spread around the table. "Did you even attempt to present a professional image?" A woman nearby scoffed, "She's giving garage sale vibes." As others filmed, their phones focused on Alina's flats. Sylvia continued, "We deal with titans, not hobbyists. Save us the slideshow." The room erupted, the applause laced with mockery as Alina opened her laptop, her movements calm, her silence a defense against their criticism. Another executive, a woman named Sylvia Holt with diamonds sparkling at her ears, sighed dramatically. "Let's not waste time, Victor. She's clearly out of her depth. A palpable change filled the room. Their disapproval now felt tangible. A junior executive, Ethan Wells, his Rolex watch prominently displayed, leaned forward with a smirk. "What's with the second-hand style? Did you get that shirt from your mother?" Ethan Wells rose, his Rolex catching the light as he gestured towards Alina's sketches, his expression mocking. "What are these? Are these illustrations from a children's book?" he announced, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I've seen more impressive artwork at my child's preschool." The executives reacted with derision, one discarding a crumpled napkin towards her portfolio, exclaiming, "Frame that masterpiece." Ethan moved nearer, his voice laced with mockery, asking, "You believed you'd make an impression? Stick to knitting, sweetheart." Mobile phones were raised, documenting her blurred sketch, their laughter echoing as a unified sound. Alina's hand remained on her laptop, her expression resolute, yet the atmosphere became oppressive under their mockery, her dignity the focus of their amusement. A ripple of amusement, phones quietly raised, documented her simple trousers and worn flats. Alina remained still, her hands gently placed on her laptop, her eyes scanning the table. "None of you have examined my proposal," she stated, her voice calm, nearly soft. "You're evaluating me based on my appearance, not my abilities. You will later wish you had not." Victor's laughter was abrupt, like shattering glass. "Regret, dear, we don't wager on inexperienced individuals." He gestured dismissively, rejecting her sketches without looking at them. "Crystalis focuses on building empires, not small ventures. You have 5 minutes to present before we proceed to serious applicants." Sylvia smiled, tapping her pen, stressing the need for brevity, as qualified architects were awaiting review. The assembled group watched intently, anticipating a misstep, their murmurs reflecting skepticism. Alina nodded calmly and opened her laptop, the screen displaying a faint flicker due to its age. She commenced, her voice even, detailing a resort that integrated nature with luxury, solar lattices powering infinity pools, rainwater systems nourishing vertical gardens. Her sketches, displayed on the screen, were stunning, each line a tribute to the earth. However, the executives showed little interest. Ethan used his phone, Sylvia examined her nails, and Victor cut her off mid-presentation. "That's enough," he stated, his tone uninterested. "This is a dream, not a plan. We need scope, not artisanal details." As Alina started her pitch, the executives became more assertive, their comments blending into a harsh chorus. One woman, wearing a silk blazer, questioned, "Is she truly using that laptop?" It appeared antiquated, prompting gasps and laughter. A man carelessly discarded a sugar packet from the coffee tray, observing its descent near her drawings. "Add some style, dear," he taunted as others applauded, calling, "Go back to the suburbs." Smartphones captured everything, their cameras unforgiving, presenting Alina as naive. She continued speaking, her voice clear, but their taunts overwhelmed her, a group enjoying what they perceived as her failure. Alina's eyes momentarily shifted, but her demeanor remained steady, a restrained intensity visible within. The rejection was immediate and harsh. Sylvia moved closer, her smile malicious. "You do not meet our requirements, Alina. Perhaps consider a local community center in the future." Ethan laughed, throwing a pen in the direction of her sketches. "Yes, focus on decorating lofts. Leave resorts to professionals." The pen traveled across her portfolio, blurring a sketch, and the room erupted in laughter, their voices cutting. Alina shut her laptop, her actions deliberate, and collected her documents. She remained silent, showed no reaction. Her gaze met Victor's, calm yet intense, as if she could see into his thoughts. While she organized her belongings, a junior executive named Lila Chen, her suit impeccably tailored and her confidence even more so, interjected. "Frankly, it takes courage to present yourself this way," she commented, her tone laced with condescension. "However, courage doesn't secure deals. Presentation is key and you're falling short." Lila Chun crossed her arms, her suit crisp and her tone direct, addressing Alina as if she were a child. "Look," she said, her voice carrying and precise, "it's charming that you attempted this. But this is Crystalis, not a startup incubator. You don't belong here. She gestured at Alina's shirt, which drew amused laughter. Next time, perhaps hire a stylist or engage a professional firm. A man called out, or simply remain at home. His companions chuckled, one flicking a straw wrapper toward her table. Recycle that pitch, he called, and the room immediately filled with noise. Alina carefully collected her sketches, her actions deliberate. However, their unkindness lingered, their phones sharing her embarrassment. She indicated Alina's clothing, which prompted further laughter. A man positioned at the table's far end, with his tie slightly undone, exclaimed, "Wager she's here for the complimentary coffee." The room erupted in laughter. Their phones were now recording, capturing her old laptop and a sketch with smudges, portraying her as an object of ridicule. Alina rose, her portfolio held securely, and offered a quiet smile. "Thank you for your time," she said, her voice soft but resonant. She retrieved her phone, her fingers steady, and initiated the call. The room grew quieter, the occupants observing despite their attempts at nonchalance. "Honey," she said, her tone warm yet distinct, "they disapproved of my design. Perhaps I ought to present it to Novaland instead." She waited, paying attention to the response, then nodded. "All right, see you soon." The executives looked at one another, their expressions changing. Victor moved closer, his forehead creased. "Novaland," he stated, his voice sharp. "What's that supposed to mean?" Alina remained silent, her expression unchanged, as she placed her phone into her pocket. The boardroom doors opened, and a man entered, tall and impeccably dressed in a black suit tailored to perfection. His dark hair was neatly swept back, and his gray eyes surveyed the room with a predator's calm. This was Julian Sterling, the billionaire founder of Sterling Ventures, a $100 million fund capable of influencing markets with minimal effort. A palpable shift in the atmosphere signaled his arrival. Julian moved with purpose, traversing the room without a sound, disregarding the expressions of the executives. His gaze settled on Alina, briefly displaying warmth, and he halted near her, his hand lightly touching hers. The room fell silent, pens clattering to the floor, tablets left untouched. Victor's smirk disappeared, his complexion losing color. Sylvia's diamonds appeared lackluster, her assurance faltering. Julian's phone fell from his grasp, striking the table with a sharp sound. Julian addressed the room, his voice low and resonant, like a storm. "I've decided to invest only in companies that treat my wife with respect," he stated. "You just lost your opportunity." A heavy silence fell over the room, followed by a sudden uproar. Victor rose quickly, stammering, "Mr. Sterling, we didn't know." Sylvia interrupted, her voice sharp. "This is a misunderstanding." Ethan appeared flustered. "We were simply being honest." Julian did not acknowledge them. His gaze remained fixed on Alina, who stood calmly, her portfolio still held in her arms. She didn't need to say anything. Her mere presence was sufficient, a silent strength that revealed their harshness. Phones vibrated, screens illuminating as an email arrived in every inbox at the table. The subject line was striking. Novaland secures exclusive contract with Alina Moore. The message itself was concise and impactful. Novaland, Crystallis Group's fiercest rival, had unexpectedly exited the Maldives bidding process, adopting Alina's design as their premier project. Her sketches, which had been ridiculed only moments earlier, now formed the core of a $2 billion agreement, fully supported by Sterling Ventures. All attention shifted to Alina, with expressions of surprise, remorse, and apprehension visible on onlookers' faces. The boardroom erupted in disarray as Julian's words took effect, Victor's complexion paling, his crimson tie seeming to tighten. Phones vibrated with pressing calls, investors withdrawing funds, stocks decreasing 10% within minutes. Sylvia's diamonds shook as she hesitated, her tablet displaying postponed meetings, her connections dissolving. Ethan's Rolex appeared excessive, his confidence diminished as his firm's worth plummeted, rumors of audits spreading. The Novaland email appeared more intensely, Alina's name now prominent, her sketches gaining popularity as brilliant. The Crystallis empire, founded on presumption, fractured because of her understated honesty, their reputation lost due to their own actions. She advanced, her footfall soft on the marble floor, and confronted the room. "I did not come here seeking a contract," she stated, her voice composed and direct. "I came because I expected to be afforded professional courtesy." She hesitated, allowing the statement to resonate, her hazel eyes scanning the table. "You decided to evaluate me based on my attire, not my abilities. That proved to be your error." Victor Crane stood, his crimson tie a sharp contrast as he waved Alina off, his voice carrying. "We're done here," he declared, interrupting her pitch. "You're wasting our time with this vision board nonsense." He smirked, indicating her portfolio. "Take your drawings and leave. We require successful individuals, not fantasizers." The room erupted in applause, one executive calling out, "Consider a craft fair," as another playfully tossed a coffee stirrer at her laptop, adding, "Modernize that old machine." Derisive comments circulated quickly, broadcast on internal chats, dismissing her as unsuccessful. Alina shut her portfolio, maintaining a composed expression, though their derision felt like a sharp cut with each comment. She turned, carrying her portfolio, with Julian beside her, his hands offering support on her back. The executive team reacted with a flurry of activity, their voices merging. Victor called out, "Alina, let's discuss this." Sylvia's heels tapped as she rose. "We might change our decision." Alina proceeded without hesitation, offering no farewell. The doors shut definitively behind her, the sound echoing like a conclusive judgment. The boardroom remained in a state of chaos, Crystalis's future uncertain, and Crystalis stock dropped sharply within hours. News reports declared, "Blunder costs Crystalis $2 billion, board resigns." As evening arrived, the executives confronted the consequences. Victor was removed from his position by the board, his reputation tarnished within real estate circles, his confident expression now a fading recollection. Sylvia's firm terminated her contract, clients referencing questionable decision-making. Her diamonds were pawned by the end of the month. Lila's startup pitch was rejected, investors withdrawing support following the widespread dissemination of videos showcasing her insults. Ethan's hedge fund failed, his Rolex sold to settle outstanding debts. The hashtag erased Ethan gained worldwide popularity. Their mistreatment of Alina, initially a source of amusement, ultimately led to their downfall, with each individual now associated with her success, and her vision becoming a guiding light for Novaland's ascent. Several individuals withdrew, board members submitted their resignations, and the Maldives project, formerly envisioned as their lasting achievement, ultimately became Novaland's success. Alina and Julian entered the elevator, the cityscape extending beneath them. He regarded her, his voice low. "You all right?" She returned a smile, her eyes reflecting the light, always. No further explanation was necessary. Their connection, subtle yet resolute, conveyed more than any agreement ever could. The elevator moved downwards, creating a sense of disorientation, Crystalis's descent resonating, Alina's perception growing stronger, her reality a clear and undeniable force. If this narrative evoked an emotional response, please leave a comment, and subscribe for further content.